Greetings, people. Welcome to the latest episode of the Rough Draft. I am your host, Kevin Alberto Savio, and in this episode, I'll be talking about my anime TV show ideas. Thank you for tuning in to this latest episode of the Rough Draft. So if you've been paying attention to me since my first episode, one of the things that I mentioned was that I actually became interested in becoming a writer first and foremost in the film and television industry. And so when I decided to make that decision, one of the things that I wanted to work on was animated TV show ideas. Now, definitely as a kid, I loved watching cartoons growing up. Definitely, I was big into like Japanese anime at the time. Say some of them shows that came on the air, say like G-Force slash Battle of the Planet. Obviously, my main favorite one, Robotech. You also have like Voltron at the time, and like a whole bunch of other different types of shows. So they were a big influence on me. And so when I got older and I made the decision to want to work in film and television, definitely I wanted to write some stuff that would basically have a lot of impact as much as cartoons had an impact on me as a kid growing up at the time. And so one of the ideas that I had was a show called Verminion Tribe. So Verminion Tribe for me was kind of it was Rescue Rangers meets GI Joe meets Batman. So um, it was kind of it was a cool show idea actually. So it's about a bunch of mice. So they form an organization. They represent for this particular city, and so they try to like help clean it up and become, for lack of a better term, politically active in the community. You know what I'm saying? So it starts off with two sibling lab mice and a lab hamster. They were born in captivity, born and raised in the lab, always got tested on and whatnot. So they have a whole bunch of like genetic modifications and different abilities and whatnot. So one night when the lab is being watched, something happens, it catches fire, they're able to like get out of their cages, so they actually escape. So they're actually able to leave the lab. They hop on like a truck, the back of a truck or something like that. So the truck travels to like a nearby city or something that's like three quarters abandoned or whatnot. So they're able to make it to freedom. So they're free, but then they go to this place and it's like it's very downtrodden and economically depressed and decrepit and crumbling and whatnot. They make their way to this place called Omega Park, and so they hide out at a local tree in this local, say, city park and whatnot. And then they meet like two additional members. They're two brothers who are squirrels. And so that's kind of the genesis of how to you're saying Verminion tribe is formed. You know what I'm saying? So they're local residents. They meet these lab mice, never been outside the lab, always been born in captivity, and then they kind of like let them know what you're saying the real world is like. So they're like, we need to do something to step it up. We need to change things. We have these abilities. Let's help people. So they go and they represent for other like animals in the city. You say other mice, other rats. We've seen local squirrels. We've seen birds, cats, dogs, all that other shit. So they form this organization. They do a lot of outreach. They also do a lot of community policing. So like a lot of the criminals out there who are doing dirty ass shit, like they go after them. You know what I'm saying? And really they become a crew. You know what I'm saying? And they add two more additional characters. So it's like the main seven at that time. And I even expanded their membership to at least like 11 different members. They're all rodents, which is why I say vermin, young tribe. I know, kind of crazy, but it was a very good idea that I had. Saying I wrote a couple of episodes mostly for like class projects and whatnot. Never really got a chance to get it produced or anything like that, but I mean, it was always something that stuck with me, and it was kind of like a long saga. You know what I'm saying? Like, not saying that they have kids or whatnot. Well, one of them does have a kid, but it's kind of like a long-winded kind of storyline, like a soap opera sort of type of thing. And so, actually, being staying in that universe, one of my other ideas was called Vermin Masters. And so, Vermin Masters is within the Verminion tribe universe. It's kind of a spin-off show. Um, Ver- Vermin Masters was kind of my nod to Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, except a little bit darker. Well, at least darker compared to the cartoon series. Well, the old school cartoon series, since they've had so many different versions of it back in these days. But yeah, it's five main members, five different mice, and they have their Nightingale sensei. So the sensei, she's like she's the daughter of a Shinto priest. He had his own shrine in Japan. He gets betrayed. The shrine gets attacked and destroyed, and so she escapes with her life, barely escapes with her life, and then she makes it to the United States. And then when she comes here, she's kind of got to like work for a living or whatnot. And then she kind of comes across like some homeless mice, and they're being attacked by some local rat gang. And so she intervenes to kick the shit out of them using like her family's martial arts karate style. So she starts taking in like some homeless mice and whatnot. She starts training them in just martial arts and in ninjutsu. And so Vermin Masters is kind of like the more darker underground group within the Verminion tribe universe. Like I have a couple of crossovers with these guys, and sometimes they work together, sometimes they're beefing with each other. And so it was a very interesting story. You know what I'm saying? Like I said, it was kind of like my more darker nod to Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. I mean, it was interesting. I mean, I might add it sometime or write it out as a novel. I don't know if I do it like a young adult thing or a kid's book. I don't know. But it was an interesting idea. I still have the stuff written down somewhere in one of my notebooks or folders. Sitting back in my parents' crib, so I might bring that story back out. I have another one, The Adventures of Don Piero Valiente. Anybody who watched episode 13, where I was talking about my short story anthology, Drum Speaking, I actually have an Adventures of Don Piero Valiente story in there, so that would give you a little bit more background. He is an Afro-Latino space knight, and so he's basically in this all-white military organization, so he's able to represent for like African people. So you say he's the only he deals with like a lot of racism and prejudice and whatnot, people looking down on him, but he's basically the best soldier within the whole entire battalion just because he's that good of a fighter and a warrior. You know what I'm saying? So he carries himself in a different, in a different way as opposed to the other soldiers, within the regiment or whatnot. So it's like a lot of them are jealous because he is very good, being a soldier, and he's a better fighter. Others are just like racist against him or whatnot. So it's basically the trials and tribulations that he goes through as a soldier within this military organization. That was kind of a nod to my love for Robotech. So I created a character, basically being influenced by that particular TV show. There are certain level of similarities, but with the Adventures of Don Piero Valiente, I take a lot from like history, especially like Latin American histories, from Latino history from the Caribbean and the rest of Latin America. So I kind of twisted, from colonial times and kind of gave it a futuristic slant and whatnot. So that for me is a very interesting story. Like I said, like if you paid attention to episode 13, it is in my short story anthology Drum Speaking. So the Adventures of Don Piero Valiente is in there. I'm trying to turn that into a novel. I want to make it a standalone novel, maybe a series. I'm still working on it. Like I said, the only version of that I have is in Drum Speaking. So look forward to it in the future. You know what I'm saying? I might actually complete the novel and then release it as a novel or even a novel series. So I mean, pay attention to that. Also, I had another idea, I should say. This one's called The Legend of Rojadia. And so this one is about a gunslinger from the past. This story takes place after the Mexican American War. America takes over, like obviously what's now the American Southwest, and so this character is actually kind of a gunslinger fighting for the rights of like Chicanos and Mexicans that are on the American side. And so you have like a lot of land barons who are going over there, taking over a lot of this territory and this land and whatnot. And so they treat the indigenous people and they treat the Mexicans who formerly owned these lands like basically treating like dog shit. You know what I'm saying? They're taking their lands, they're disrespecting them, they're being violent towards them. And so uh, there's this character named Rojadea, who's basically a gunfighter and basically fights against. It's kind of like a Zorro-ish type of character. except the bad guys are using the incoming white Americans. And so this character is like a masked gunfighter, say you can't see the person's face, only their eyes, and they have the cowboy hat, the boots, the pants, and they wear gloves and whatnot. But the funny thing about it is anybody who knows Spanish, like the word dia is actually masculine, but I call the character Roja Dia, where it should be rojo dia because it's a masculine word, so it would be red day or day of using blood. But the thing about it is roja dia is actually a female dressed as a man. So you can't you're saying the whole time is like with every time roja dia strikes and like shoots down a couple like saying like ranchers and land barons and all these other people, they're tearing up the countryside looking for a dude and the character is actually female. So it's like the perfect disguise. And she's a deadly gunfighter, and she could actually, you say, she could throw hands. She's actually a good fighter and whatnot. So that was very much based on history. I would love to bring that, say, to life as a novel and whatnot. I just have not gotten the chance to really do the proper research because like when I was doing it as a cartoon, like I was just letting my imagination run, and so the stories weren't necessarily realistic. If I do it as a novel, I want it to be a little bit more realistic and a little bit more historically accurate. So that's in the works. I guess the last one I would like to talk about is one that's called Link to the Motherland. So I think I might have talked about Link to the Motherland, I believe maybe a little bit in episode either 14 or 15, maybe even both of them. This one was a cartoon idea that I was thinking of converting into a novel. And so it's basically it's a time travel action adventure, you're saying, show. So it's kind of like an Afrocentric version of Inuyasha and Dragon Ball Z. So I hate making those type of comparisons and whatnot, but that's the best I can do. That's the best way I can describe it. Because there is a male teacher and two of his students. They get transported back in time to the Nile Valley times, and so it's like they take on different responsibilities and personalities. Like the teacher himself, he is a scribe or a sesh. Um, his male student, he is actually a priest in training, and his female student is actually she's a warrior. So they go back in time. They learn all these different skills. They learn all this different stuff about like the Nile Valley civilization and then the spiritual, you were saying, spiritual background of our people back then and whatnot. And so it's it's actually a very ill story. Like I really wanted to do something with this. Um, I did write a couple of episodes of that. It's on my hard drive. I really had the characters fleshed out, like all their different abilities and powers and stuff that they're able to do. Plus, like a lot of reading that I've done about like the period of Nile Valley civilizations and ancient Kemet and whatnot. There's a lot of really heavy shit in there. I am considering making that a conversion project. How many? I think I wrote at least 3 episodes, 2 or 3. So I wrote like the pilot and like 2 additional episodes. So I'm considering making that like a young adult novel. So that sounds like a real ill fantasy thing, like maybe an Afrofuturist type of project or something like that. I'm thinking of making it something. So be on the lookout for that. So hopefully you people enjoyed this episode. I really hope you really digged it. You know what I'm saying? Hopefully I'll be able to change some of these projects and make them into novels. So if you are interested in checking out any of my other works that I have, they're available in paperback format, so you know where you can go to get them. Author House, Outskirts Press, Create Space, Amazon.com, Barnes and Nobles, and Books a Million. My books are available in the ebook format as well, so you can go through the outlets of Kindle, Nook, Kobo, iTunes, Scribd, and internationally through Tolino and Biblio. My books are also available in ebook format for libraries, so you can go through the outlets of Overdrive, Hoopla, Baker and Taylor, and Biblioteca. If you're watching this video and you're watching on YouTube, Like the video, definitely leave a comment. I'd love your feedback. Definitely subscribe and definitely hit the notification button so you know whenever I post another video. Thank you so much for tuning in. So definitely keep the fist raised. I'm always on my literary grind. I look forward to talk to you guys in the next episode, and I'll see y'all.